There is a forest in Japan that even the locals will only enter in daylight. When someone in the nearby towns goes missing, their families get a cold, sinking feeling because they know this is one of the first places they will have to come and look. So they come in the morning, in small groups, calling a name between the trees, and they always make sure they are back out before the light fails, because nobody who truly knows this forest wants to still be standing in it after dark. You already know this one. Aokigahara, the so-called suicide forest below Mount Fuji, where the trees grow so close they swallow your voice and the volcanic ground spins your compass right in your hand. It earned its dark reputation, but this is the part nobody tells you. Aokigahara is the forest the world knows. It is not the one the locals are truly afraid of. Across Japan, there are darker, older, stranger forests that the people living right beside them will not enter after sundown. Not for a dare, not for money. A forest where a woman hammers a curse into a tree at 2 in the morning. A forest that swallowed 200 men in one freezing night. A mountain where people climb up to speak with the dead and swear the dead answer back. These are 9 forests in Japan the locals refuse to enter after dark. And by the end, you will understand exactly why. Number 9. Picture a woman alone in a pitch-black forest at 2 in the morning. She is dressed head to toe in white. On her head sits an iron ring holding 3 lit candles, so her own face glows under a crown of fire. In her hands, a straw doll and a hammer. She drives a nail through the doll and into the bark of a sacred tree. 1 nail, every night, for 7 nights, and on the 7th, the person that doll stands for is meant to drop dead. So why is she out here doing this? The answer is the oldest one there is. She has been betrayed, a husband who left, a lover who lied, a rival who took everything, and the rage has nowhere left to go. This ritual is called the Hour of the Ox Curse, Ushi no Koku Meiri, and it traces back to one truly terrible story. Centuries ago, the legend says, a woman in Kyoto was so twisted up with jealousy that she went to a shrine and prayed, not for peace, but to be turned into a living demon while she was still breathing, so that she could destroy the person who had wronged her. And the story says the gods agreed. Ever since, betrayed women have climbed up into the forest at the Hour of the Ox to follow her. Its most infamous home is the cedar forest above Kyoto, around the Kifune Shrine, and it is the reason the locals will not go up that mountain in the dead of night. Because this is not some dead old tale. Hikers still find the dolls out here today, rusted nails hammered through the chest, pinned to the trees by someone who walked up alone in the dark to wish another human being dead. There is one rule above all. If you are seen performing the rite, the curse rebounds, and it is you who has to die. So if you are ever on that mountain at the Hour of the Ox, and you see a woman in white with fire on her head, whatever you do, do not let her catch you watching. Before we go deeper into the trees, do yourself a favor and hit subscribe, because it only gets stranger from here. Number 8 is not even human. Number 8. A lone traveler crossing a dark mountain forest meets a group of elegant noblewomen out viewing the autumn leaves. Their leader is the most beautiful woman he has ever seen, and she invites him to join their banquet, right there beneath the cedars. The sake is warm. The food never stops. She hangs on his every word, and little by little, he grows heavy and slow and content. He does not notice the smiles around the fire stretching too wide. He does not notice her shadow climbing the trees to 10 feet and sprouting horns. By the time he understands that he was never the guest but the meal, it is far too late to run. This is Togakushi in Nagano, an avenue of cedars 4 centuries old, so dense the light comes through grey even at noon. And the thing in the story has a name, Momiji. The legend calls her a Kijo, a demon woman, who lived out in these woods and stayed alive by luring travelers exactly like that, with beauty, with kindness, with a warm meal in the cold, and then devouring them. It took a warrior, with a blade said to be a gift from a god, to finally bring her down. Is the demon real? No, but that was never really the point of the story. The point is, the warning these mountains have whispered for centuries. The most dangerous thing in a dark forest is not the thing that looks like a monster. It is the thing that looks like a welcome. Number 7 is no legend. It left 7 real bodies, and one man who swore revenge for every single one. Number 7, December 1915. Deep snow, a handful of wooden houses built at the edge of the forest in northern Hokkaido. A young woman is inside one of them, looking after a baby, when the wall caves in. What comes through it stands nearly 9 feet tall and weighs around 750 pounds, 340 kilograms. A brown bear. It kills them both and drags one of them out into the trees to eat in peace. And this is what turned a tragedy into a nightmare. This bear had crossed a line that bears almost never cross. It had decided that people were food. The village gathered to mourn, and the bear, now knowing exactly where the soft, slow prey could be found, came back for the mourners. Over 6 days, it raided house after house. Men sat up through the nights with old rifles and lanterns, and it was not enough. By the time it was finally cornered and shot, it had killed 7 people. It is still the deadliest bear attack in the history of Japan. And it left one more thing in its wake. A boy who survived that winter grew up and made an oath that he would kill 10 bears for every person this one had taken. He spent the rest of his life keeping it, and by the time he was an old man, he had shot more than 100. The settlement is gone now, swallowed back by the trees, with one small monument where the houses stood. But the forest that thing walked out of is still right there, and it still has bears in it. Number 6 is not about something that hunts you in the woods. It is about the men who run through them and are forbidden to come back alive unless they finish. Number 6. A monk runs alone through a black mountain forest, in straw sandals, in the dead of night, in the rain. Under his robe he carries a coil of rope and a short knife. They are not for protection. They are for him. The rule is brutally simple. He finishes the route, or he uses them to take his own life. There is no third choice. Why would any sane person agree to that? This is Mount Hiei, outside Kyoto, and the answer is one of the hardest deals a human being can make. The trial is a 1,000-day mountain marathon, spread across 7 years. The monk runs a set route through these forests, day after day, tens of thousands of miles in total, through injury, through sickness, through exhaustion that would break most people in a week. The belief is this: if he finishes, he stops being an ordinary man. He becomes, while still alive, something close to a living Buddha. That is the prize, and the price is the promise he made on the very first day. If he fails even one day's run, he does not get to quietly go home and try again next year. By his own vow, he must end his own life. In over 100 years, only a few dozen men have ever finished. The ones who try push through the dark trees half-starved, feet ruined, sometimes seeing things that are not there, running on nothing but will. So when you wander those gentle, beautiful temple paths in the daylight, remember what the trees on either side have watched men do to themselves, on purpose, chasing something they could never once prove was there. Number 5 is the oldest forest on this whole list, and the one that quietly turns you in circles until you cannot find the way back out. Number 5. You are deep in a forest of trees that were already 1,000 years old before your grandparents' grandparents were born. Everything, the ground, the boulders, the fallen logs, is drowned beneath a thick green skin of moss. The mist is so heavy you cannot see 20 feet. You stop. You call out. And from somewhere in the green, a voice answers you. And you know for a fact that there is no one here but you. This is Yakushima, the island forest that inspired a famous film about the spirits of the woods. The islanders have a name for that voice. Kodama, the spirits that live inside the oldest trees. And the reason the place feels so alive, so aware of you, is partly real and physical. The moss swallows sound, so noises seem to come from nowhere and lead nowhere. Every mossy hollow is identical to the last. People get lost in here in a slow, gentle, terrible way, walking in circles, the same fallen tree drifting past again and again, with the creeping certainty that the forest is patiently turning them around on purpose. Most people find the way out. Stay on the marked path, and you are fine. But step off it, into the green and the mist, and that enormous listening silence, and Yakushima stops feeling like a place you are walking through, and starts feeling like something that has quietly noticed you are inside it. Number 4 is where the forest stops pretending to be alive and becomes the door to hell. Number 4. You climb for hours up through green forest, and then the trees just stop. In front of you is a grey, dead basin of bare rock that steams and hisses, where the air scrapes your throat raw with sulfur. For centuries, the people standing exactly where you are standing were certain of one thing. They were looking straight at the entrance to hell. This is Jigokudani, Hell Valley, high in the mountains of Toyama. And the strange part is that people climbed all the way up here on purpose, to see it. Monks taught that this was the literal place where the dead were dragged to be judged and boiled and punished, and they could point at the proof. The bubbling pools were the cauldrons. The smell of sulfur was the breath of the damned. Pilgrims made the brutal climb specifically to stare into hell while they were still alive, so the sheer terror would scare them into living a good enough life that they would never have to come back to it. And they were not wrong to be afraid. The volcanic gas pouring out of that ground is truly poisonous. It collects, invisible and silent, in the low hollows. It kills animals that wander into them. To this day, visitors are warned, sharply, never to step down into certain spots, because the air itself, in the wrong place, will stop your lungs before you even realize anything is wrong. A valley, the old world called the Gate of Hell, that the modern world still has to fence off because it really can kill you where you stand. Number 3 is a quieter horror, and a far, far sadder one. Number 3. A man climbs a dark mountain path with his own elderly mother on his back. As he carries her up into the trees, she reaches out and quietly snaps the small branches they pass, one after another. He thinks she is marking a trail back for herself. She is not. She is breaking them so that he will not get lost coming back down the mountain, alone, after he has left her up there to die. This is Obasuteyama in Nagano. The name means, more or less, the mountain where you abandon the old woman. And it points to a custom from times of terrible famine called Obasute. When a family had too many mouths and too little rice, and a grandparent grew too old to work, they were carried up here, into the forest, and left to die of cold and hunger so that the children could eat. People in these areas still keep out of the deep forest up there, not because they think a creature lives in it, because they know what was left in it, and they would rather not feel it watching them go. Some forests are haunted by the dead. This one is haunted by a decision. Number 2 really happened to 200 men in a single night. Number 2. A soldier stands upright in a blizzard, frozen solid, still at attention, exactly where the cold caught him. There is a bronze statue of him in these mountains now, because he was real, and he was one of nearly 200. This is the Hakkoda Range, in the far north, January 1902. 210 soldiers had marched up into this forest for a winter training exercise, preparing for a war with Russia, Sure, they could handle deep snow and killing cold. They could not. A blizzard closes in around them. The temperature falls to about 41 degrees below zero, the coldest ever recorded in Japan, before or since. The men lose the trail in the whiteout, and then they begin, in ones and twos, to freeze. What happened in that forest over the next days is the deadliest mountain disaster in the entire world. Of the 210 men who marched in, 199 never marched out. They died on their feet, in the trees, in the snow, some of them turning slow circles within shouting distance of a safety they simply could not see. And the people up there will tell you, flatly, that the soldiers never really left. On certain cold nights, hikers and locals report a column of men in old army uniforms moving silently through the trees, still trying to finish the order that killed them. Before we get to number 1, do me one quick favor and tap that like button. I'm just getting this channel off the ground, and on the videos that take this much digging, it honestly makes a real difference. Thank you. Which leaves number 1, the one forest on this list that is not visited by the dead. It is run by them. Number 1. A blind woman sits on cold, grey, sulphur-stained ground beside a river. A stranger kneels in front of her and asks her to call up someone they have lost. A daughter, a husband, a mother. The blind woman closes her eyes, and she begins to speak in the dead person's voice. This is Osorezan, in the far north of Aomori. The name translates simply as Mount Fear. Climb up through the forest, and the green dies into a grey, steaming, sulphur-choked waste, and a real river runs through it that the Japanese call the Sanzu, the river of the dead, the one every soul must cross. Its banks are covered in thousands of little towers of stacked stones, built one at a time by grieving parents for children who died before them. People do not come here because it looks like the afterlife. They come because they believe it is the border with it. Once a year, the blind women, the Itako, come to the mountain to do the one thing they have trained their whole lives for: to call up the dead. Every other forest on this list is haunted by the dead. This is the one place where the living climb up, on purpose, to invite them back, and where, if you believe the people kneeling there, with tears running down their faces, the dead actually answer. So, one last thing. Every one of these forests was old long before Japan had a name, and everyone will still be standing long after we are gone. In the woods, we are the brief thing, not the trees. Maybe that is the real reason the locals always come out before the light fails. Not because they are sure the ghosts are real, but because deep down, they know whose ground this really is. So the next time you stand at the edge of the trees as it gets dark, ask yourself one honest question. In there, are you really the most dangerous thing in the forest? If there is a forest near you that belongs on a list like this, drop it in the comments and tell me which of these 9 you would actually set foot in after dark, and which one you would not enter for any amount of money. We read every single one. We will see you in the trees.